Welcome to the Succeed Against the Odds podcast. My name is Francesca Anastasi, also known as Sabea. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I'm your host and mentor. And each week we bring you an inspiring person, an expert, or message, and some behind the scenes to help you ignite and unleash your potential. Thanks so much for listening. Welcome back to another episode of the Succeed Against the Odds show. I am so excited today to have as my guest Kelly Roach. Kelly is the host of the top-rated podcast Unstoppable Success Radio, an international best-selling author, and the CEO of Kelly Roach Coaching. As a former NFL cheerleader and Fortune 500 executive, where she was promoted 7 times in 8 years, Kelly brings a powerful combination of proven and profitable business growth strategies, coupled with the mindset, wellness, and productivity practices required to help entrepreneurs build a profitable business around a life they absolutely love. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the awesome intro, and thanks for having me.
It's my honor. You have accomplished so much. And I know I just gave you a little briefing there, but I want to know more about you. And so you were formerly a cheerleader.
I was an NFL cheerleader when I was in college. And then right when I graduated, I joined a Fortune 500 firm. So kind of stayed in the people realm. I got into sales and recruiting and, really quickly moved into management. And, it seems like it was practically overnight, but a decade later, I was climbing my way up the corporate ladder. I had a team of 100 people. I had 17 different locations I was doing business strategy for. And I was also burnout, exhausted, and didn't want to do that anymore with my life because I wasn't really building anything. And that's how I kind of discovered entrepreneurship and the fact that I could do what I loved, but in a different capacity, while working for myself and earning much better income than I could working for someone else.
Was it hard to make that transition from being a cheerleader working into a corporate environment?
Yeah. Well, dial the clock back to the time when I auditioned for the NFL. So, I had chosen the university that I went to because it was the place I was going to be in the least amount of debt when I graduated. So I had, applied to lots of schools. I got accepted to all of them. And the bottom line there was, I came from a family, we really struggled with money. And so I was really on my own when it came to the financial element of paying for school. And so when it came down to it, I chose the school where I was going to be in the least amount of debt graduating. And what that meant was, although I had grown up as an All-American All-Star for cheerleading, and I had been a competitive dancer since a very young age, and that was really like my passion, I went to a school that didn't have a Division I cheerleading team, and it didn't have a Division I dance team, which I don't know if it's the same in Canada, but in the US, Division I is like, the highest performance, most competitive teams, that people then get extracted from to go professional. So for me, it was either a choice of going backwards or going forwards. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go forwards. I'm not going to take a step back on a team that's performing at a lower level than where I had already been. And so really the only choice was to go forward. And that meant auditioning for the NFL. And, I think that the transition from the NFL to corporate America to a Fortune 500 was very easy for me because the amount of discipline and pressure and strain that you go through working for the NFL at that level definitely prepares you in a lot of ways for the poise, the professionalism, the discipline, and the work ethic that was required to then, work my way up the corporate ladder very quickly when I got, out in Fortune 500 world, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So the discipline of it was key.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And how about the transition from working in a Fortune 500 company to going on your own?
Yeah, definitely. Lots of pros, a few cons. Obviously when you're running your own company, every pain is your own pain, right? Every failure is your own failure and every risk is your own risk, right? So, that for anyone, I think, is definitely tough. And especially, when you come from being really, really successful in a different world and then you move into entrepreneurship, you learn really quickly that the entrepreneurial animal is not like any other one. You can't decide things in a vacuum. You can't do things in theory. You can't protect yourself from failing or you'll never get anywhere, right? Making that transition for me was a lot about courage and confidence and, being okay, trying new things and failing and, getting more comfortable with risk. But it's, for me, it also has been a journey in freedom and, really expressing myself fully and making an impact on the world and doing work that I absolutely love that impacts people that I care about. There's a reason why I specifically wanted to focus on helping small business owners because, small business owners are some of the hardest working people in the world, but still 95% of them fail. And, that's because most people that come into creating their own businesses don't have a background in sales and marketing. They don't understand good business practice and principle. They maybe weren't salespeople themselves or leaders in their past lives. And so all these skills that they suddenly need to survive as a business owner, they don't have, they're not equipped with. And so I do a lot of work to try and help bridge those gaps so that they can be successful doing the things that they love.
So what would you say for someone who doesn't have all those skills would be the number one skill that they must have?
Well, absolutely sales and marketing. I mean, no business can survive, especially today. I mean, you walk out your door and you see retailers closing every day of the week, and it's because they're not doing outside sales. They're waiting on people to walk in their doors, right? And it doesn't work like that anymore. So I would say the number one skill, even just to stay in business, is to learn how to sell and market your business. But the number one skill, if you want to grow and thrive over time, is learning how to be a leader and manage people because, obviously you're severely limited by what you and you alone can do. So if you want to, get in business and stay in business, definitely sales and marketing. If you want to thrive and actually like your life and enjoy what you're doing, I would say leadership and management.
So what prompted you to leave the corporate world to go on your own? What was the trigger that made you decide, I'm just going to have my own business, even though it would not be the easier starting point?
No, it definitely was much, much harder. And I would say it wasn't one thing, it was many things, and the number one thing being that, I recognize that if I kept going the way I was going, I would not be a healthy person by the time I was 40 years old. So it was really a sustainability, quality of life, health and wellness driven decision more than anything. I was traveling all over the place, working 60 hours a week, exhausted, burnout, not taking care of myself and just burning it, just burn. And I knew it wasn't sustainable. And, I knew it was going to be hard the first few years of starting my own business. And I knew it wasn't going to be taking a step back by any means. But I knew that in starting my own business, I could ultimately build something that I would be able to take a step back from. And, that was kind of the sacrifice. And, so a lot of things drove that decision, but money was a big one. When you're in sales and marketing and you're producing millions and millions of dollars for a multinational corporation and you're not seeing any correlation between that and what you're making, that's going to be a big driving factor, right? So that was a big part of it. And, the health and wellness was probably at the top. And then the third thing, of course, was just fulfillment. I really wanted to see my work translating into doing good in the world. And I wanted to see the connection between what I was doing every day and how it was positively impacting people.
It does make a difference. It gives you so much more purpose to what you do, knowing that
absolutely
something, not only you're helping someone else, but it's rewarding.
Oh, and it's amazing the platform that you have as a business owner. I bring charities on my podcast and raise awareness for them. We donate to, 5, 6, 7 different organizations. This year we were able to pay for a child to get their cleft palate fixed through Operation Smile. We were able to bring clean drinking water to people around the world through Charity Water. I think your platform as a business owner to do good is unbelievable. You can do good in any element, right? You don't need to be a business owner to do good. But I think you have an opportunity to raise other people up and bring awareness to important and worthy causes as a business owner because you have a platform.
Do you think that everyone can be a successful entrepreneur if they want to?
I think that's a very nuanced question. I think that not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. And I think that most people are not truly at the heart of it willing to do what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. And I think that some simply do not have the desire to learn the skill sets needed. So, I think that it really comes down to a will and a desire and a passion and a long range thinking and determination factor more so than a capability factor. I think from a capability standpoint, you're always going to have strengths and you're going to have weaknesses. And I think in the global market that we're in today, if you truly want to, no matter how bad you are at some element of being an entrepreneur, you can partner with someone else that's good at that area. So I think anyone ultimately could be an entrepreneur and be successful if partnered with the right people. But I think it's much more so will they? It's the will and the heart and the determination more so than the capability or the talent that I think really would be the deciding factor there.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say now that how long have you had your business?
Oh, since 2012.
Okay, so it's been several years. Knowing, like I'm sure you've had a lot of, like every entrepreneur does, times where it was really, really tough and maybe you got a big lesson out of it. If you had to start over again, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself? What would you look out for? That's something that you can share with the audience that might be able to help them if they are in that spot.
Wow. There's so much. I mean, I think the most important thing with entrepreneurship is to get in it and stay in it for the marathon, not the sprint, and be kind to yourself along the way and really understand that the degree to which you allow yourself to fail and learn from it is the degree to which you're going to succeed. Don't beat yourself up. Don't have, a short range decision making or thinking. And, to also not make decisions out of fear, right? To put yourself in a position to make decisions out of strength, not weakness, because, I think when you make emotional decisions, you make the wrong ones. And I think the other thing just to recognize is that, for everyone out there that you see succeeding at a high level, they have decades many times behind them of success and failure that led them to be able to achieve the success they're achieving today. So when you see those overnight successes and you're, so badly wishing and hoping and wanting, to be like them or where they are or whatever the case, it's realizing that they have gone through probably what you have and so much more to get to that place. And just to trust the process and to recognize life is happening for you, not to you. I think those would be some of the biggest things that I would want to share from my journey.
Yeah, and it's so on point, especially my background is in dance. Like I used to be a dancer, performer and all that. And there's such a similarity between cheerleading is the same thing. This is what you see. You see the cheerleader or you see the dancer, the performer, they go, wow, it's great. But people don't see how many hours have been put behind the scenes before you could get to that point. And the same as in entrepreneurship. And I think that I'm totally agreeing with you. It seems like a lot of people probably give up too soon.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I feel really bad for new entrepreneurs that are just getting started today, because I think there's been this with the internet, there's been this romanticized over glorification of entrepreneurship where it looks online as if, people are, cashing in on millions overnight and that they start something and it just blows up in a matter of weeks or months, or, they're earning multi six figures overnight, and I think the reality is, most people really don't understand, the vast majority of businesses, you're not taking home a profit until you're 2, maybe you're 3. And dependent upon the type of business you're in, it could be even longer. I mean, I think having the right set of expectations, and that's not lowered expectations, that's the right set of expectations for your journey is very important, because I think that's why a lot of people quit before they're ever really in the game. They just don't understand, what it actually takes and what other people that are where they want to be went through to get to where they are, if that makes sense.
It totally. And, like you said, the internet has been not very positive in that sense. Like you said, like there's so many, there are a lot of people making it look like it's easy and it's not. It really isn't. That's probably why so many quit so quickly,
Oh,
because
yeah.
they say, oh, it's not as easy as I thought.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. It's really not. And, if you were to ask me, and I'm sure you would say this, and I'm sure every entrepreneur would say this, what's harder, working a job, for a mean boss that you hate in a job that you're not satisfied with, which is harder, that or starting your own business? I mean, hands down, starting your own business is much, much harder and much more stressful than the worst job setting. However, the difference is, that job is gonna stay bad, right, forever. Whereas with entrepreneurship, it's very challenging, very difficult in the beginning. But then as long as you keep growing, you keep learning, you keep stretching yourself, you get help, you get mentoring, you make the right decisions, you do the right things, you're building something, right? It's like you have the opportunity to cross the bridge to the other side. And what's waiting there is it's unbelievable,
And then it makes it all worth it.
Exactly. 100% worth it. 1,000% worth it.
Yeah. So Kelly, your background is in health as well, like in fitness?
Well, I just did a lot with, dance and with exercise. I taught aerobics for a little while. I've run half marathons. I've just always been into it just for fun, never a serious thing, just always something that I've loved, something that I've enjoyed. And I think when I'm a little old lady, I'll probably be teaching aerobics at like retirement homes or something like that. It's just like in me. It's always been there.
So I know that you also talk a lot about productivity tricks that help double businesses. Any tricks you'd be willing to share?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think number one is simplify. The biggest thing is to be productive, you need to do far, far less. I think that most people are running around like chickens with their head cut off, doing 30 million things, and 29.99999 million of them are not at all impacting their bottom line or their results. So I think, number one, it's get clear on where your results actually come from. Number two, get rid of all the things that, aren't creating an impact, aren't gaining you results. I think a lot of people do things either out of habit or out of obligation, not because they're actually the right things to be doing. So I think releasing all of that could cut out, 20 plus hours a week from most people. And I think just focusing, when I was coming up through all the rage was multitasking, right? And then science proved that multitasking is actually the worst thing you can do for your productivity. And that it's having a singular focus for a set period of time and doing it 1,000%, that really leads to productivity. So that's why I come back again to simplify, So I think simplify. I think release all the things that no longer serve you. I think, questioning why am I doing this and what is the result that I'm getting? And constantly looking to upgrade what you're doing to something that can achieve a better, faster result in less time, which is available to all of us at all times. It's just usually, most of us are moving so fast that we're not actually taking the time to evaluate and upgrade. We're just going through the motions of doing, right?
Mm-hmm. You're also the author of a bestseller.
Yeah. So Unstoppable: 9 Principles for Unlimited Success in Business and in Life. And the book is really designed to help simplify for people. I come back to that simplicity word a lot because I think that's the root of success and happiness. But I think that it comes down to helping people discover how they can both achieve financial freedom and do it in a way that creates a life that they love, instead of sacrificing one to get to the other. And I made the mistake first of sacrificing one to get to the other. So I'm the perfect person to write the book because I made all the mistakes. But then I came around back to the other side in the way that I constructed my own business, and I did it the right way. So it's just, designed to help simplify for people, give them a roadmap to follow.
I can't remember who it was that said it. I think it may have been Einstein. I may have this wrong, but there is elegance in simplicity. Or something along those lines. I love that. I love that quote, even though I don't remember exactly how the quote is written, but I do remember the principle of it, and it is so.
It's all about doing less. It is all about doing less and about doing things with intention.
Yeah, and it gives you time to focus on what's most important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 1,000%.
Yeah. Wow. So if our listeners want to get a hold of the book and buy the book and get a hold of you, what's the best place to reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, kellyroachcoaching.com is my home on the web. We have all kinds of free resources there, audios, videos, everything that's designed to help small business owners go further, faster in accomplishing their goals. So that is a great place to go claim some free resources. You can get a copy of the book there, get in touch with myself and the team. And I would love to connect with any of your listeners.
Very generous. Thank you. And it's been absolutely a pleasure talking to you. But before we go, I have one last question. And that is, what did you want to be when you were a little girl? What did you want to be when you grew up?
I got asked that question on one of my surveys, and I said I wanted to be just like my mom. I actually have it on one of these big boards from when I was an Eagles cheerleader where they asked us that question. And I think the reason why I said that, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she was just the most selfless, generous, loving, kind person that I've ever met. And I just wanted to model that, in my life. And I still desire to model that in my life. And I hope I know I'll never get it, as close to her, but, hopefully some variation of that.
Well, that sounds perfect, actually, to have such a role model to want to be like her. It's so beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your insights, for your tips, for your energy. I love your energy.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Awesome.
You too.
It is awesome. It is awesome. So thank you. And I hope to meet you in person one day.
I hope that we do cross paths. It would be great to meet you. And I really appreciate you having me on today.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please pass it on. And it would mean so much to me if you would leave an honest review on iTunes. I'd really appreciate it. Till next time, embrace your magnificence.